Hey everybody, it's Monday, December 22nd, 2025. Our episode's headline is Santa Claus Rally Begins. Gold hits new highs. As you can see, the S&P 500 rose by 6%. We have a headline here from investing.com. Stock market today, S&P 500 closes higher in thin holiday trading. This is what happens in the Santa Claus Rally. The professionals, the institutional money goes home. Cats are away and the mice play, and they certainly did today. The stock market just rising so calmly higher, and as you can see, it was most of the stock market. You can see here the heat map was generally pretty much all green, notably one sector lagging behind, consumer defensive. So you could argue that this could be a sign of rotating into more risk-on areas. As we can see, the consumer staples ETF XLP actually dropped by 1% today, all while pretty much everything else went up. Advanced decline line shot up with most stocks. And we also had gold hitting new highs today. I'll bring that chart up here. Sorry if today's video is a little more choppy. I'm on the road and don't have all of my equipment with me, but we broke to a new high in gold. We went up almost 2.5% today, above the previous high. I am expecting a pullback. I think this is a pretty strong psychological level. I think there will be selling tomorrow alongside silver. I know on Verified Investing, he has a parallel channel that we pretty much hit the top of today, which is why I actually ended up shorting gold a little bit myself. I bought a little bit of GDXD today. What moves, if any, did you make today? That is our community topics. Comment below. Second headline, HYT update. As one of my commenters had mentioned, I've been talking about HYT. It's a junk bond fund, and I've been saying, oh my goodness, like, what is going on here? How can a fund of junk bonds be dropping by 4.5% while everything else seems so calm? Apparently, it's because it's a closed-end fund. It doesn't operate like an ETF where it simply goes down because the value of the stuff it has goes down. And it can do things such as what it decided to do very recently, which is a rights offering. And so for each share owned by people of HYT, or number of shares, they get a number of rights, and then the rights can transfer to new shares of it. So basically it's diluted. And so it's more of a mechanical action than ever. However, the volume was pretty large. In the sell side, it's a little bit of forced selling, I think, because of some institutional players involved. They can't, with the rights offering, my understanding is it adds a bit of risk to this fund. Is this somehow some kind of massive poop and scoop where they know there's going to be problems in the credit markets, and so with this move down in, we could have an acceleration down, actually, because not all people that even get these rights are necessarily going to use them either. And so in a way, it's almost, in my book, pushing down the value of it unnecessarily. And so I don't understand exactly why they are doing this, because if they do this and it blows up in their face, it can make them look really bad. And if you follow the Robschild portfolio, you're probably aware I have HYG put, so I'm on the other side of this. Me against BlackRock. We'll see who ends up coming out on top. But the long and the short of this is that it was a rights offering, and this is not exactly completely a concerning detail at this time. So then we have coming up, tomorrow, we have Tuesday, the GDP for Q3 coming out. We expect it to be positive, We also have Thursday jobless claims and tariff updates. Thank you for watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, and supporting Robschild. On to more charts. So let's go back to the S&P 500 to begin. Sorry about any technical issues we have here. So we rose today. We went up 6%, and it was, like I said at the beginning of the show, it was broad-based except for consumer staples, which actually fell by about 1% today. I wanted to mention the VIX hit new lows that we, again, haven't seen since it's September. Is that correct? Yeah, in fact, now that I'm looking at the chart, nope, we are at new lows. No, you got to go back further. You got to go all the way back to December of 2024, the beginning of December 2024, to have gotten that low in the volatility index. Very interesting. The 2-year note yield today rose a bit, interestingly. Nothing like falling apart, just sort of we went down a bit, now we're rising. That's sort of how I'm rating it. The 10-year note yield also rose a little bit. I was expecting a little more resistance here at this yellow line. Instead we popped through it, and so I don't know, are we in a bull flag here, or yields going higher? It could have something to do with the Venezuela news. You've probably heard in the news it's becoming bigger and bigger news. This is why oil rose today. Yields often follow oil, and crude oil rose a good amount. We went up 1.5%. I don't anticipate personally this Venezuela thing going on indefinitely, and even if it does, I don't think it's still expected for this to have a lasting impact on the price of crude oil. And so just like we had this major rise, I mean, with Russia, yeah, it rose a lot, and then it took a little bit of work to get back down. With Venezuela, they're only like something, if I remember correctly, something like 2% of the supply of oil around the world, and so we're not expected to go much higher here for much longer, at least the way that I'm looking at this. Next, we have Bitcoin. We intraday, it looks like we were getting pretty bullish here. Actually, we rose intraday to 90,500 about, but if we connect these bottom lines from November 21st to December 1st, you can see that is exactly the spot. Amazing how trend lines work sometimes. We hit that today and backed off, and then, you know, scrolling out, you can see that we're still very well within this bear flag consolidation. Onto the metals, copper essentially going fairly sideways after rising slightly. I don't know, it's not moving a whole lot. We had silver finding new highs. Like I mentioned earlier, we're at the top of a parallel channel. Sorry I don't have it on here, but that combined with the fact that gold pierced the all-time high allowed me to comfortably get into a bit of a gold short. On GDXD, I think I might get out of it as soon as tomorrow, especially if it looks like today. So today's candle for Monday was this big green one here. Tuesday's candle is already here because we're on UTC time. So if we end up closing up here, then I'll be having to get squeezed out of my short, but I think gold will be rolling over tomorrow, but that's just me. Fear and Greed Index on CNN. We did get into greed mode finally today, as you can see right there. And the last chart of the day, actually, platinum rose 6.5% today, getting near highs that we haven't seen since 2008. All right, and you know, we might be able to call a top here in platinum, but you know, considering that it's rare, more rare than gold, and is still about half the price, tells me that this thing could go much, much, much higher. But that's really hard to say. And that's all from In My Crystal Ball. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Robschild.